This episode is brought to you by Indie Film Hustle TV, the world's first streaming service dedicated to filmmakers, screenwriters, and content creators. Learn more at indiefilmhustle.tv. Now, what did stand-up do as far as helping you prepare for the very gentle and inviting and warm film industry?
I got to think about that because it's hard when you do your own things and you believe in what you're doing, and then suddenly, as you're starting to show work to people who tell you no, or we don't like that, we like this, and it's a different audience, and a powerful one because they can say yes or no. Mm-hmm. So that was, it still is always a challenge. That's why with Here Today, I am so thrilled that we were able to get something made and finished during the pandemic, but that we were able to write a funny, moving movie. A full emotional journey for an audience, and I have to say, at this age, to get something done, and have people embrace it, the studio people embrace it, like Sony has with this movie. So yeah, so it's but the stand-up, it's always the place that I return to for new ideas. Mm-hmm. If and money. But it's
I mean, mostly money. It's mostly money. Let's just be honest.
It's a downtime, and God knows there have been. This isn't happening. That's not happening. You know what? If I can, let's book some dates, and I'll go out on the road. Like 3 years ago, I did 35 cities, and I had the greatest time. And then your mind starts getting all oiled up, and you start seeing things differently, and then. We were on the road, and Janice and I have been married almost 51 years. So right from the beginning, she'd be making notes in the audience for me, or I'd run back to the motel after I did a gig, and she'd be there, and we'd go over the notes and so on. So now, 3 years ago, we're running back to the hotel and doing the notes. And then seeing, that could be this, that could go that could be that's funny. That didn't work. And then it's all how it started out, and it all feels very right.
That's amazing, and it's amazing that that you still as you were explaining it to me, you were like a 20-year-old. You were like a kid, like and then we got this, and that the juice is flowing, and we got this and that and this and that, and it is fascinating the creative mind and how it works. Especially, again, the stand-up comic is a very interesting creature, to say the least.
Well, the thing about it I love the most are the surprises.
Right.
And it's thrilling. It is absolutely thrilling when you can knit together an entire sequence off the top of your head because the juice of the audience is so good. And then it's like, there's a power about it that's it's very hard to explain unless you experience it yourself. Mm. You're walking, you're talking, you're thinking ahead. It's almost like chess. There's 3 moves. You're setting up things. You're setting the audience up where they don't see it coming. But when you get on a riff and it just comes, and you get on a roll. It's really something. It still is a great feeling to have.
Now, I have to ask you this because my father told me I have to ask you this. He was a monstrous fan of Soap. One of your early shows that really arguably blew you into the mainstream a bit, and your character Jody that you brought to life on Soap. I remember watching it later, like when I was in high school. I would watch episodes, and my father was just obsessed. He couldn't stop laughing with that film, with that show. But it was a pretty pretty bold character in the late 70s to be bringing out a gay character on television. Were you the first? I don't even know if you were the first.
Yeah, I was the first recurring starring character in a network television show.
Right.
There were other like films,
Sure.
and but nobody approached it with humor.
Right.
The way that the brilliant, really, they say, boy, he's a genius. Susan Harris, who created Soap, was a genius to me. She wrote the first 65 or 68 episodes all by herself
Wow.
for a lot of characters. We had like at least 12 main characters and then supporting characters and one-page people and so on and so forth that would come in and out of the story. The jokes were great. The characters were fantastic, an amazing cast, and Jody Dallas was when they approached me about playing him after seeing me on a Tonight Show with Johnny, and I met with him, and I was nervous about it until I met with him, and it was Susan and her late husband Paul Witt and Tony Thomas, great producers. And to me, the best director in television at the time, Jay Sandrich, who was Mary Tyler Moore director and just one of the MTM heavyweights. And we talked for a long time about, well, where's he going? What's to be said? How honest is this going to be? And it started out honestly a little rubbery, I thought, and then it settled into a real interesting, thoughtful, funny, stood up for himself, strong character who knew who he was. At most of the time, there was some confusion about to himself, his own sexuality and so on. But then, he just was very endearing to people. Wow. And it was 4 years of it. And I think the test of it, Alex, was he had a one-night stand, and he ends up fathering a baby girl.
Yeah.
And his the mother sues for custody, and it was a big court battle. That was my story, because it was a soap opera. So that your story comes around every couple of months sometimes, which was frustrating. But Jody wins custody of the baby, and they did a poll. I remembered, I guess ABC did it, who should get the baby. And it was almost unanimous that Jody should get the child. And I thought that was the victory of the character.
Wow.
That the trust for a single gay man to get custody of the child. So I'm very proud of those years. It was 4 years. I saw on Twitter, I don't know, 2 weeks ago was the last episode of Soap aired in 1981. Right. So I guess 2 weeks ago. I don't know. But it was a great group of actors to work with that really were supportive of me, knowing the pressure that I was under. And Richard Mulligan, who played Burt Campbell, was a genius. And Catherine Hellman, who passed away last year, also just really nurtured me. Mm-hmm. And Robert Guillaume, bless his soul, who played Benson.
Yeah.
But Bob was very, he's such a strong man that to play a black servant for white people, rich white people, that he played it with dignity and with humor and sometimes was the only sane one in the cast, and sometimes both portrayed that way. The only two sane people are the gay guy and Benson. Back then they would say stuff like that. And Bob was very nurturing for me. And he would wait for me when I would do a scene, and I'd come off the set. He'd be like one of the first ones there to give me a hug and say that was really good, so on and so forth. And we had a long talk about it once, and it was really beautiful. We said, our two characters are minorities, and so we get to stand up for each other, and it was a beautiful thing. All the people there were great, just great.
Well, I mean, from there you obviously you're a legendary actor who's been in so many classics, and I said again, don't want to embarrass you, but you're a veteran actor who's been in tremendous amounts of.
You know what? I like legendary better than veteran. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I had a choice. Legendary always means he's old, which I am, but I'm in good shape. Everybody,
you get paid more as legendary as opposed to veteran. I think that's generally the difference. To watch the rest of this interview, head over to indiefilmhustle.com.